Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to White Gaming. How are you all doing? We are back again today with another video on Night of the Dead. What we are going to do today is go over some quick basic beginners tips on pretty much ways you can get yourself the best start to the game. We're going to go over all the perks that you're going to need straight off the bat and things that you want to be upgrading early on. Now if you're a fan of the game, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got plenty more stuff like this to come. Let's get into it. One of the most important tips I can give you on this game is loot, loot, and loot. Do not let anything go to waste. You need every resource you can get your hands on, and resources don't respawn. So don't miss anything. When you're searching buildings like this one, or any other building really, make sure you check every nook and cranny, open every single door, take every box you can. Another thing you want to make sure you always check in is not your map, that was silly, your inventory. As when you are full, you cannot pick anything new up. You can stack the items that you already have, but that is it. So you want to make sure you keep an eye on your inventory before you go on a big scavenging hunt away from your base. Also, these boxes, which are dotted around on the floor, along with the barrels and the cars, always loot these boxes, because these give you what is called research materials. And you're going to need the research materials later on to upgrade, get all sorts of cool little mods, and improve your storage capabilities, which is definitely something that you're going to need. And I keep opening the map. Don't know why I keep opening the map. There we go. Which you will need research material. Let's deal with this guy. Have that. Hey. This map is massive. You will spend a lot of time sprinting around. Keep an eye on your stamina bar, which is the orange one. Because, as you will see now, if you go too far, you will carry on sprinting, but it will stop your stamina and then start to degrade your health. Which, obviously, if you don't know at first, you might think you've been poisoned or something similar and just carry on running. Also, when you get into a fight, it doesn't take stamina off you, which is really good, but it also doesn't let the stamina regenerate when you're swinging your bat. So as you can see top left, my stamina won't go back up every time I take a swing. So always keep an eye on it, especially if you're going into a building, things like that, because you're going to need that stamina up in case you need to sprint away from a sticky situation. And if you've already got low health, it's really not going to be helping you at all. So you've got your research table built up. Now you've got to invest research materials into certain skills. Now the skills you want to go with first off, I would 100% recommend are Combatant, which is pretty much the whole tree, really. Because, as you can see there, damage 3, and then another 3, and then health recovery from items is 50, which you're definitely going to need. Because off the bat, health recovery from smaller items that you can find out in the world, instead of hunting, if that's not really the way you want to go about it, then you're going to need it. Because it will get your health up a lot quicker than just standard. And then full damage minus 50, movement speed plus 10, and noise decreased by 75. Which is really good because it will slow down the enemies being able to spot you as quick. Which is really what you want. You want them to take a lot longer to notice you, and you want to be able to see them before. And then after Combatant, Junior Builder, 100% a great one to have there. Purely because it lowers the amount of ingredients needed to build items. And then as you go along, minus 15 for stone materials, 15 for iron materials, and also if you get that extra skill, you get the demolish return rate. Now, at the end there, the minus 15, which will obviously stack onto stone and wood and iron, so then that will give you the 30% bonus, well, 30% less resources need. That's really, really going to be helpful. And then before you can do it in any order really, but another one I recommend is Endurance, which is 12 to your inventory slots. As I was saying earlier on, looting is a very, very big factor in the game, so you need to make sure you can carry what you've got. And then as you go up, you get 12, that's 24, that's 36, and that's 48 new slots, which is really going to help you out, especially when you're looting the big towns and going for all the bits that you actually want. Alongside that, you can also upgrade your bags there. So these bags, from what I can tell, they upgrade the stacks. So you can stack more items, which is really going to help, because then obviously you've got just one stack with 50 in rather than 5 stacks of 10. So definitely something that you want to be going for. 100% early on as well. And the way you can do all of these, obviously you need rabbit or fox skin. Rabbit is the starting one, which we're going to go on to hunting in just a second, and then you can go from that and get all the bits and bobs you'll need through there. So obviously setting up traps for your base is important, but what's just as important early on is setting up traps for animals. Now you want to set up a medium and a small and medium trap early on, and then work your way up to the bigger traps. Now you need to catch an animal in a small trap to get the meat. As you can see here, this will give you the small meat from either foxes or rabbits, and you will also, as I was talking about a minute ago with the upgrading, you will need the hides from rabbits, foxes and so on to upgrade your storage capacity. And then once you've got the hides for them, you'll be able to build the bigger traps here for sort of pigs and things like that. And then on you'll be able to go up for the bears and all sorts of the bigger animals, which you're going to need sort of bear meat, well, large meat is called later on in the game. Early on it's not too much of an issue, but I've played for quite a few hours now and it's quite hard to actually get the large meat. So it's good to start that early on. So this is the first base I built. As you can see, it's got some traps, it's got some wooden spikes. It's very basic, but it does the job for the first few Horde Nights. Now, as you continue through the game, the Horde Nights are going to get harder and harder and harder. So what you want to do towards the start is find yourself, I would say before day 3 or 4, find yourself a nice location on the map. Personally, I would recommend Central, which would be 15-15, so around about there, which is in the middle of a city anyway, so that's quite good for looting and things like that. Because then, if you're in the centre, it takes an equal amount of time to get anywhere that you want to get on the map, rather than having to start up in a corner or something there, and then it's going to take you ages to get all the way down to this part. Whereas in the centre, you can branch out and get where you want to get. And the Horde gets harder a lot quicker. Obviously on this playthrough I am on day 1, I've got to day 4 so far, and it gets very difficult very fast. So making sure you've got that sort of readiness early on is a good thing. And on the topic of bases as well, obviously here you've got the wooden bases, but you want to get straight up there and upgrade to concrete early on, because wood burns. So I'll just give you an example quick with the fire. Now, boom. Now that will absolutely annihilate your base, which is really disappointing. I'm not going to show you the zombies that can do it, or any of the sort of special zombies, purely because if you've not seen them yet, when you see them for the first time, it's fucking terrifying. And fire is deadly. It will absolutely annihilate your base. It does take quite a bit of time, but when you've got a lot of zombies coming at you that will pretty much destroy everything, this going down slowly suddenly starts to get very fast, and it will spread onto other parts of your base, which is obviously not good, which is another reason why you want to upgrade early. Now I'll show you this quick. Obviously there it is only in 1 so far. What we can do is, and there's my hammer, there we go, is demolish this quick. Obviously you get your resources back. It's not an ideal solution, but it can work just well enough to stop the spread. As you can see there, that has spread onto all 3 platforms and will slowly start to die and destroy everything. Once it's destroyed everything, the fire will go out. As far as I'm aware, there's not actually a way that you can put fire out. But that one there won't spread any further, which if you've got a base like mine, which is 3x3, then you're a bit screwed because there's not really much you can do. But it does slow the spread down. Obviously, you want to upgrade fast because this here, boom. And then, obviously that one over there has spread to all 3 platforms, but this one will not spread because concrete won't burn. Obviously the one thing that I really find as a bit of a downside of having a concrete base is they don't go underneath like that anymore, and they will just absolutely annihilate it to get through to you. So pros and cons, obviously, but wood won't last. It won't last very long, and you'll have to upgrade it a lot. You'll end up wasting more resources sort of repairing it than you will just upgrading in the long run. So it's definitely worth the straight up upgrade. I'm not going into the traps too deeply because I'm going to do a separate video on that and fortifying in the best way. But one thing to take note of is, bang, they do not burn, which is absolutely amazing. And another thing with the traps that you want to be doing is making sure you've got a way to get up to them whilst the horde is approaching from underneath, because you're going to need to repair and reload. Now, if you can't do that whilst the horde's coming, these things do not discriminate. If they activate when there's a zombie nearby, but if you're stood there when that zombie's nearby, this thing will absolutely annihilate you. So bear that in mind when repairing your traps and building your sort of base. You want to be able to repair as you go along. Another thing to take note of when deciding where you're going to build your base is obviously resources do not grow back. So trees, bushes, things like that. So if you are building out in the sticks, in the middle of nowhere, you are going to start to run out of resources. Then you've got quite a way to travel, which is another reason why you want to be, well, why I would recommend being pretty central. Especially as being central is in the middle of a city and there's a giant forest right there. So you don't really have to go that far for resources. As you can see around me, there's trees, there's buildings, there's vehicles, everything is everywhere. So it's just one important thing to take note of really, and just plan ahead when you're doing your building. So this isn't really essential, I would say, but getting these upgrades early on is quite helpful. It just makes things move a little bit smoother. You don't need to do this, but it is a little bit faster than just your standard bits and bobs. So when you start to upgrade your bits, you know, when you've got everything and you've done a lot of building and you've got time to focus on things like that, I would say it's 100% worth going for the weapon upgrades, because then you know it gets you a little bit further ahead in the game and just makes things a little bit easier. And whilst we're on this bench, first weapon you want, the bow and the spear. You will find firearms and you will have the urge to use them. So once you've got the bow, I mean, headshots work really well on this. They do a ridiculous amount of damage. For some reason my aim is just not on it tonight. But you want to be saving your firearms for sort of horde nights and those larger enemies. And the good thing about the bow as well is you can go and recollect your ammo. So it's always worth using that. And if you've got one, the baseball bat, because they're just a great way to save that ammo and build it up. So that's it from me today, guys. Thank you very much. If you have any of your own tips, remember to jot them down in the comments below. And over the coming weeks, we're going to be doing traps and all sorts of other little tips guide and base building guides. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe for much more, and we will see you again very soon. Peace.